Why would they renounce their titles?
Well, I mean, clearly it's very useful to them. Their business activities are based around being princesses, but I think they are trying to distance themselves from the family. I think they've been certainly a lot of commentators are suggesting it would be wise for them to break off on their own, to establish themselves as separate entities away from the York family.
It begins with a question that no one ever dared to ask inside the royal family. A question that hangs in the air, like a quiet accusation, like a whisper echoing through palace corridors at a moment when everything is shifting. What happens when the downfall of a disgraced prince forces the world to look directly at the lives of his daughters, their money, their privilege, their marriages, and the hidden financial machinery that has always protected them? Because after Prince Andrew's humiliation, eviction, and loss of royal titles, the spotlight has turned sharply toward Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie. And what it reveals is a financial empire that is more complex, more delicate, and more quietly powerful than many people ever imagined. Before we dive in, there's something I need to share with you. Over the past few days, thousands have watched these stories unfold, but most haven't subscribed. If you're one of them, I invite you now to join us. Subscribe to Crownverse so you never miss the next chapter in this unfolding royal history. The story of Beatrice and Eugenie's finances does not begin with them. It begins with their father. Because Prince Andrew's fall from grace created a storm so fierce that it swept everything connected to him into public scrutiny. He was once the spare, a beloved second son with military prestige and royal confidence. But after his catastrophic association with Jeffrey Epstein, his disastrous Newsnight interview, the unverified claims that resurfaced over the years, the revocation of his titles, and finally, the near-complete collapse of his public status, Andrew became the first modern royal to be publicly humiliated on a global scale. His disgrace cast a long shadow over his daughters, not because they were involved, they were not, but because royal scandals never stay isolated. They spread, they stain, they raise questions about everything and everyone connected to the fallen figure. And as Andrew's life crumbled, attention naturally shifted toward the next generation. People began asking, how do Beatrice and Eugenie really live? Who pays for their security, their homes, their lifestyles? Do they rely on trust funds? Do they live off their husbands? And how much of their lifestyle is connected to the royal system their father once inhabited so confidently? The truth is that Beatrice and Eugenie have always lived in a world defined by two forces: privilege and independence. They are not working royals. They do not receive taxpayer-funded money from the sovereign grant. They do not represent the crown at official events in the same way William and Kate do. But at the same time, they were born into a world where property, trust funds, family connections, and royal arrangements create a safety net most people could never imagine. Their financial picture is not straightforward. It is an intricate web of private earnings, inherited privilege, quiet support, family wealth, and powerful marriages. To understand just how complex their financial reality is, we need to begin with their homes, because a royal home is not just a place to live. It is a symbol of status, security, and legacy. Princess Eugenie has long been associated with Ivy Cottage, a small but luxurious home on the grounds of Kensington Palace. Public records confirm it has been used for years as a grace and favor residence for junior royals. This means Eugenie does not pay the kind of market rent one would expect for a home in one of the most expensive neighborhoods in London. Instead, she benefits from an arrangement where the Crown provides the property, significantly reducing her living costs. It is important to emphasize that while this arrangement is widely reported, the exact financial details are private. We do not know the terms of her tenancy. We do not know whether rent is required. We only know that Ivy Cottage, like many properties on royal estates, is part of a system designed to support family members while maintaining proximity to palace operations. Princess Beatrice's living situation looks different. She and her husband, Edoardo Mapelli Mozzi, a wealthy property developer, own a farmhouse in the Cotswolds that press reports valued between £3 and £4 million when purchased in 2021. This is a sign of private wealth, not the sovereign grant, not taxpayer money. But before this, Beatrice benefited from grace and favor residences at St. James Palace, another symbol of royal privilege that greatly reduces living costs and provides a lifestyle associated with royalty even without active royal duties. What becomes clear is that their housing arrangements reflect both independence and legacy. They work, they earn, they build their private lives, but they also receive the kind of indirect support that only a family with centuries of inherited property can offer. Beyond property, the question of income is central to understanding their financial story. Both princesses pursued private sector careers, which is unusual for royals of their rank. Princess Beatrice has held senior roles in technology and partnerships. Her corporate filings and public profiles show that she has worked in positions that typically pay six-figure salaries in London. These are real jobs, not ceremonial roles. Princess Eugenie's career follows a different path. She is deeply rooted in the art world, having built a portfolio of experience with prestigious galleries. She worked at Paddle8, a now defunct online auction company, before joining Hauser & Wirth, one of the most influential contemporary art galleries in the world. She rose from associate director to full director, a title that typically comes with significant responsibility and substantial income. Again, her exec salary is private, but industry standards place roles like hers in the low to mid six-figure range. These jobs are important because they show something critical to the narrative. Despite being princesses, Beatrice and Eugenie are expected to support themselves, at least publicly. The royal family is careful to emphasize that non-working royals must not rely on public funds. But what the public rarely sees is the other half of their financial reality, the private wealth that has been quietly structured around them since birth. This includes family trusts, inheritances, and historical financial settlements. One of the most notable is the trust established by the late Queen Mother in the 1990s. It was designed to benefit her great-grandchildren, structured to make tax-efficient distributions at certain ages. Reports, not confirmed individually for each beneficiary, suggest that Beatrice and Eugenie received payouts from this trust as they matured. Another set of trusts from earlier generations may also include their names as beneficiaries. These structures are intentionally private. No detailed public records confirm the amounts or the timing. But it is widely acknowledged that younger royals like Beatrice and Eugenie benefit from these long-standing financial instruments. Trusts in the royal world are not just savings accounts. They are protective shields designed to ensure stability, independence, and continuity of lifestyle no matter what happens publicly to the monarchy or to their parents. This brings us back to Andrew. His fall from grace changed everything for him, but it also changed how the world sees his daughters. Their finances began to be discussed not out of curiosity, but out of suspicion. When a royal falls, people want to know who else benefits from the system that protected him for so long. And with Andrew evicted from Royal Lodge, stripped of his titles, and living a life of forced isolation, the public increasingly wonders how his daughters remain financially insulated. Are their lives unaffected? Do they still benefit from palace generosity? Do they carry the weight of their father's disgrace? Financially, the answer is complicated. Emotionally, the answer is likely far more painful. But publicly, what matters is perception, and perception has shifted dramatically. Much of the public assumes that Beatrice and Eugenie's money comes directly from the monarchy, but that is not true. Their wealth comes from work, family assets, trust funds, and their marriages. However, the aspect that draws the most fascination is their husbands, because marriages in royal stories are not just romantic unions, they are financial alliances. Beatrice's husband, Edoardo Mapelli Mazzi, is a multi-millionaire property developer. His company, Banda Property, specializes in high-end residential developments. His portfolio is public enough for people to understand that he brings considerable wealth into the marriage. His background is prestigious, his network powerful, and his work places him in the upper tier of London's real estate elite. For Beatrice, this marriage provides not only emotional stability, but financial distance from the chaos of her father's downfall. Princess Eugenie's husband, Jack Brooksbank, has a different path. Hospitality, brand ambassadorships, marketing, and later ventures into property promotion. His income historically appears more modest compared to Eduardo's, but he benefits from his own family wealth and a network of opportunities tied to his roles. He is not a financial powerhouse on paper, but he is comfortable and well-connected. Their marriages are part of their financial identities, not because they depend on their husbands, but because in the world of aristocracy, marriage shapes social mobility, inheritance potential, and long-term financial security. But beneath the structure of jobs, residences, marriages, and trust funds lies something deeper, something less visible but more powerful. The princesses benefit from a quiet ecosystem of royal privilege. This includes housing, networking, access, reputation, and the subtle protection of being born into one of the most recognizable families in the world. These are not direct forms of income, but they reduce the need for it. Doors open, opportunities appear, work comes more easily, connections are made instantly, and this is the kind of privilege that cannot be measured in pounds. The narrative becomes even more compelling when contrasted against Andrew's collapse. As he loses everything, titles, home, status, his daughters appear stable, independent, and thriving. But this contrast creates a dramatic tension. It fuels public curiosity. How did they escape the fallout? Why is their lifestyle untouched? Should they be affected? These questions spread across commentary, speculation, and headlines. Some unverified claims suggest that Andrew still supports his daughters privately, financially, or logistically, but there is no confirmed information on this. Other rumors imply that the princesses may be receiving more financial support from their mother, Sarah Ferguson, who has built a post-royal career and maintains her own network of wealthy friends. Again, unverified. The truth remains inside tight family circles. The more the public wonders, the more dramatic the story becomes, because Beatrice and Eugenie now sit at the intersection of two forces, their father's disgrace and their own rising independence. They are forging careers, raising families, and building lives outside the Corn monarchy, yet they remain tethered to royal privilege, whether they want it or not. In recent years, as the monarchy contracts under King Charles's vision of a slimmed-down royal family, Beatrice and Eugenie have naturally moved further from the center of power. They appear occasionally at events, they support causes, they maintain a royal aura without royal responsibility. This makes them symbolically important, but structurally peripheral, outsiders with insider access. Their finances reflect this strange in-between status. They are not wealthy in the sense of William or Charles, who benefit from duchies and private estates worth billions, but they are not ordinary by any stretch. Their wealth exists in layers: salary, marriage, property, trusts, and privilege. Combined, these layers create a comfortable, luxurious life, one that appears untouched by Andrew's humiliation. But nothing inside the monarchy is ever untouched. Andrew's eviction from Royal Lodge, his public shame, and the stripping of his titles inevitably connect back to his daughters. They must fight harder to maintain legitimacy in the eyes of the public. They must prove that their careers are real. They must distance themselves from controversy without appearing to abandon their father. This balancing act, loyalty, distance, independence, privilege, shapes their entire adult lives. And now, with Andrew nearing the final stages of his royal presence, Beatrice and Eugenie may face more scrutiny than ever. If the monarchy continues to shrink, their roles will become even more ambiguous. They will not be working royals. They will not receive official support, but they will still be tied to the system in the public's mind, and any shift in royal power could affect everything from their titles to their living arrangements. At the same time, their financial foundations, marriage, trusts, private jobs, suggest that they are prepared for a future where their royal connection is mostly symbolic. a future where their father's disgrace fades into history, but their own lives continue forward, built on a mixture of tradition and modern independence. The story of Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie's finances is not one of scandal or corruption. It is a story of complexity, of how wealth, privilege, family loyalty, and public perception intersect in the lives of two women caught between the monarchy's past and its uncertain future. It is a story shaped by their father's downfall, but not defined by it. It is a story shaped by royal tradition, but not constrained by it. It is a story built on private wealth, public curiosity, and the quiet power that the daughters of a disgraced prince continue to hold. And as the monarchy continues to change, and as Andrew continues to fade, Beatrice and Eugenie's place in the royal landscape will become one of the most fascinating questions of the next decade. How they navigate inheritance, privilege, independence, and their father's legacy will shape not only their own futures, but the perception of the royal family as a whole. Because when a prince falls, the ground beneath those closest to him shakes, and the world is watching to see whether these princesses will stumble or rise above the shadows cast by the House of York.